Welcome to Season 3 of Secured with Dr. KJ. Today I'm joined by Ben Masino, President and Chief Growth Officer at Avertium, where he's leading the charge on a mission that flips the traditional security narrative on its head. That security should be an enabler that helps businesses move faster, not a roadblock that slows them down. With over 15 years of building customer-focused revenue organizations across cloud, cybersecurity, SaaS, and business services, Ben brings a unique perspective that bridges the gap between security operations and business growth. At Avertium, he oversees everything from direct and channel sales to marketing, strategic alliances, and customer success, including partnerships with industry giants like Microsoft. What makes Ben's approach particularly interesting is how he shaped Avertium's vision around improved customer outcomes while driving the metrics that matter: revenue, retention, and employee engagement. It's a holistic view of security that goes beyond the technical controls. So let's dive into the conversation and explore how security leaders can become business enablers. Ben, welcome to the show.
Hey, KJ, thanks for having me.
No, 100%. And really ready to jump right into this first question here. So for those who may not know your organization, Avertium, right? What do you do and what is your mission in the security space?
Yeah, happy to and agree. Thanks for having me on. So Avertium is a security and compliance services company. So we focus on really helping anywhere from mid-market to kind of mid-sized enterprise customers achieve security and compliance goals with and through the technology platforms that they leverage. In many cases, often the Microsoft security platform. And we've been an entity as Avertium since 2019, but the companies that came together to form Avertium have been in business for over 20 years. So we have a long history of doing that.
No, that's really good to hear. And so what particular industry or anything like that is Avertium associated with?
So we cover a lot of industries. We have 4 that we typically talk about as the ones we work with most because of the nature of what we do, bringing together pretty advanced security, both kind of technical security capabilities as well as GRC, right, governance, risk, and compliance capabilities. We tend to get pulled into regulated industries a lot. Healthcare is probably our biggest vertical, payers and providers, as well as life sciences, et cetera. But after that, it's manufacturing and industrial, retail, and regional finance. I'd say are the big 4.
No, I love the big 4. You gotta have those in all facets of life. So, but think about the security challenges that each one of those industries provide. Like, is there something that you see across all of those industries that go from one industry to another, or are they all separate, and do they all think differently about their security challenges?
No, I think there's more commonalities than differences, frankly. Mm-hmm. And I think that's across most industries, especially those, that have both government level regulations and then certainly specific industry regulations, right? So if you think about retail, for instance, one of the ones I named, there are specific regulations that they have to follow by state or wherever they operate, by region, but they also have PCI compliance that they have to maintain, right? In order to take payments from the card providers, they have to meet a pretty rigorous level of standards from a security perspective. That could be said about HIPAA or high trust compliance in the healthcare space, or NERC, FERC in the energy space, or whatever you name, right? You're going to find that finance certainly has any number of those. And so we find that the challenges that our customers face are often, partially the complexity of what they have to manage, right? So the number of regulations, as well as just the more technical cybersecurity challenges that almost all companies, especially regulated industries, have to face. And then doing so across limited resources and budgets, right? So how do you do more with less while facing complex challenges?
No, that's great. And I think, when we look at Microsoft partners and things like that, as you are, we understand that you specialize in security, right? But is there a certain focus area in security that you shine better than most? And then, also what really sets you apart from other folks out there that are trying to be partners as well?
Sure. We take an approach to the market. We call it assess, design, protect, and that really is kind of the baseline of where we think we differentiate, and because it's the baseline of where we think we help customers most, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason we it's a simplistic nomenclature intentionally, right? Assess, design, protect, 3 simple words with anything but simple consequences to them, right? So the idea is we have, from an assessment perspective, it can be really deep technical kind of Microsoft level architecture, also cost optimization types assessments, GRC oriented assessments, right? Like how do we get you to compliance or level of governance, and then more technical kind of penetration testing, red teaming. So that kind of falls into that. That then helps us set up the design services that we have, which are really around enabling a customer to execute on the roadmaps that we've made based on recommendations from those assessments. And then from a protection perspective, it's really that MXDR capability, right? 24/7 active protection around a security stack. Obviously, that's not one thing. It's really a combination, but that's where we really feel like we stand out, right? There are certainly a lot of customer companies out there, Microsoft partners, who work across those different areas. We believe that our ability to help customers build security and compliance programs with and through the Microsoft security platform, and do so with their kind of meet them where they are and then grow with them into success. That really is where we stand out.
No, I love that as well. And so it sounds like you really just take a platform type approach, right? With your customers, you kind of just adhere to what Microsoft has put out, but you've taken your own spin and put it in with your customers. And so I love that a lot. And so is there an example of a customer where you've done this, where there's been, that maybe they're not on, one stack, but you're trying to move them to another and so forth? Could you just give the folks an example of what that looks like?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I can give you one. So we have a mid-sized healthcare company in the Southeast. I'll be protective of their name just for the sake of privacy, but they came to us actually for a penetration test to start, because not specific to any tech stack, but they needed a penetration test actually to meet a compliance regulation, right? So HIPAA and PCI in their case. We were, the pen test, if you will, was successful, meaning we were able to get in and get domain admin in their environment. And we found out that it was through a misconfiguration in an Intune rollout that they had done, right? And it wasn't anything on the part of the software. It was really, again, to my point earlier, it was they had limited experience in doing that when they went through the rollout originally. They tried to do it themselves. They had limited time, expertise, et cetera, right? And so part of what we do in every assessment is to give actionable feedback on, look, here's what you can go to do to improve what we just found, right? And to act on the things that we recommend. They came to us, appreciated what we did, and said, hey, can you do that for us, right? So we then went in and designed a statement of work around doing a secure Intune redeployment, if you will. Did that, kind of tested it, found that, we covered the security gaps that they found. That got them interested in then what else the Microsoft security platform could do. And so we helped kind of educate them as a trusted advisor in that capacity. And so when they were ready to kind of up their game, if you will, from an active security perspective, they came to us and we were able to take them to a full, what we call Fusion MXDR, right? Leveraging Sentinel and Defender XDR, plus our internal capabilities and security operations to move them that way. And so, we'll continue to grow with that customer, but that's a great example of how we started with a fairly pointed assessment, right? Fairly low cost, and helped the customer really grow their overall maturity and footprint.
No, I like it. And so when we look ahead, like you can keep that same customer as kind of a thought process here is like with AI, right? AI is jumped into mainstream media and mainstream everything. Also, zero trust is a big thing as well, right? Yeah. And then you think about the regulatory pressures that not only healthcare customers are under, but banks and so forth in different industries. So where do you see the biggest opportunity to impact customers in the next few years?
Yeah, so this is something that's been really, really a hot topic for us, and we've gleaned off of what the Microsoft teams have done in this, and we love what we're seeing in Copilot. The biggest challenge that we see in the market to more advanced and let's call it successful and secure AI adoption, right? Not just kind of willy-nilly AI adoption,
Right.
is securing and really just getting your arms around your underlying data estate. And that's not specific to any platform. I think that's, or even industry. I think that's in general.
Right.
If you're going to make the investments to leverage AI in a business capacity, you have to do it in a way so that it can be used, so that you can get a return on your investment. And obviously, the way those models work is you need to have your data estate in order to make them successful. And so, a lot of what we're seeing with customers right now is it's actually a lot. It's leveraging a lot of things in Microsoft Purview. It's a lot of some of the data security and visioning workshops and some of those programs that we're in, where we're helping customers to really understand, where is their data? Is it tagged correctly? Is it in a place where you can then actually be ready to take advantage of AI? Oh, and by the way, while we're doing this, we're also helping you put it in order so that you can meet that regulatory compliance mandate or whatever else, right? Because they all rely on the same controls. And so we almost see AI as the logical outcome of a secure data estate, if you think about it from that perspective.
Okay.
And so that's become a really successful thing for a number of our customers. And so if you start at the quote unquote basic level, which we are with a lot of customers, it allows them to advance quickly. And so I think, look, outside of the business outcomes that AI alone can drive, if you think about it purely from a security and compliance perspective, that's where we see people starting and doing so very successfully. And then it allows them to build up from there. And look, it's the same thing. Zero trust principles go right along with that, right? And so I'd say that's the predominant trend that we're seeing right now, and I don't see that slowing down.
Do you see any pushback from customers, right? When you're talking about their data and you really need to get to the meat and potatoes of their data and cleanse that first before you can add AI in, are you seeing, hey, I just want AI and I don't care what the output is? How is that conversation going for you?
Yeah, it's funny. Because we're a security and compliance partner and they know that, and we try to be, I'm a big believer in focus creates depth. And so we try not to be a little bit of everything to everybody. We try to stay in that space. I think there's a little bit of self-selection when customers come to us. They know that we're going to probably always look at AI or any other technology through a security and compliance lens. However, where I actually see that conversation taking place more often than not is when you see company executives say to their IT teams or their technical staff, we need to be AI enabled, without any context maybe about what that means. And the IT folks come to us, or the security folks come to us and say, we're being told that we've got to be AI ready by 2026 or whatever it is. We're not sure quite where to start, right? We have an idea, but we're worried about data leakage or data exposure, or just not knowing what we don't know. And so we see it more happening in that way, if that makes sense, KJ. And so I always look at us, I joke that we're I kind of play marriage counselor between the internal teams to enable them to be successful, right? In the use of AI. And so that's been pretty cool and eye-opening, frankly. It used to be that way with cloud. Now it's that way with AI. It's the frontier capability. How do you do it and take advantage of it to get ROI, but also do so securely?
Yeah, no, clarity is key, right? We definitely need that. So when we think about, how AI is influencing the way that you deliver these security outcomes, how are customers taking that in conjunction with wanting to use Microsoft security investments, right, to understand the value that now you bring to the table? I know that's a long worded question and all the way around, but you see where I'm going.
I do, and it makes sense, and it's a good question. There's a number of ways I can take it. I can give you one example. It actually came up last week in our organization, and it's as much an internal thing in the way that. So I guess it may be a little context help. So we're our own customer zero for Microsoft's security platform, right? So we always say we look a lot like our customers. We were, legacy company was using a kind of a mixed technology stack, and not getting the clarity and the results that we desired, and it was cost prohibitive. And so we bought into Microsoft E5, and we bought into leveraging Sentinel and Defender and kind of doing that ourselves. And so before we rolled anything out to customers, we started doing it ourselves. And then that gives us the ability to test things on ourselves before we roll them out into production for customers. The biggest area for that is our Fusion MXDR service, our 24/7, managed security service that we provide. We're leveraging AI and starting to really test with Copilot, and then things that we can do with Copilot on the back end, even in the way that we augment our analyst work and our engineering work for customers, right? There's things that you can do inside the customer. We have a co-managed way of doing it because over Lighthouse, et cetera. And so there's ways you can manage it and help customers in their tenant. There's also aggregate ways that you can help, delineate good data from bad data,
Right.
what's real, what's not, et cetera, kind of threat hunting capabilities, and all of that on the back end. And so we're seeing that conversation come up with customers a lot. They want to know, hey, what are you guys doing, right? They want to work with a partner that they know is leaning into the future, not kind of standing in the past. And so that's something that we are pushing heavily into. And I would say one area that we're seeing customers, play with things themselves, but also then want to work with a partner that can get them to the outcomes they need.
No, I love it. And so, Ben, this has been totally fun for me. And so, but I would love for you to leave your final thoughts for the listeners and what they would need to know about your company, how to get in contact with you, and let's go from there.
Yeah, thanks. I echo the same thing. I mean, this is great. It's great working with you, and I appreciate you having me on. I would say for anybody listening, if you're looking for a partner that really invests in you as a customer and in your success, whether that's in a tactical state to begin or a strategic way over a period of time, Avertium really makes an effort to do so. And we've between our knowledge of the Microsoft environment and ecosystem, our knowledge of kind of general security and compliance, and then really investment in customer specific needs, I think we become a very strong services partner in that way. Our website's avertium.com. If you go to that, you can find us there, or we can provide my contact details. I'm always happy to talk to anybody who's interested. So thank you very much for having me on.
Thanks so much for joining us today, Ben. I really appreciate you breaking down how Avertium is helping organizations navigate the intersection of security, compliance, and AI readiness. For our listeners, if you're wrestling with questions about how to secure your data estate before diving into AI initiatives, or if you're looking for a partner that can help you access, design, and protect your Microsoft security investments, reach out to Ben and the team at Avertium. You can find them at avertium.com. And if you found value in today's conversation about building security programs that enable business growth rather than slow it down, make sure to subscribe to Secured with Dr. KJ wherever you get your podcast. We've got more great conversations coming your way this season. Until next time, securing tomorrow, one episode at a time.